boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm For Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have needed is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, a game developed by Asobo Studios, which is using their in-house technology called Asobo Conceptions. And well, this is one of the best graphics I ever seen in my entire life. Probably because most of this stuff it is actually real. And when I say real, I say the maps, because this game it is powered up by Bing maps, and well, this is simply huge. So I will start from the beginning. So first of all, Asobo Studios are the developers of games like A Plague Tale: Innocence, which was a game that I actually loved and pushed a lot their technology. It was also, this studio have been the supporter for many other games in the past, despite it was under the radar. And they were also probably well known for being the developers of Fuel, which was a game from maybe 2007, 2009, a game called Fuel from Codemasters, which had one of the biggest open worlds ever. So I guess they were kind of crazy because they really recreated the entire world in here in Flight Simulator, although this game it is pretty demanding. So I'm playing with medium settings over here, 1080p. This is what the game did recommend at first, and I do agree with their own recommendations, because I really feel that you should really stick with medium settings. But the performance of this game it is very variable. So let's take a look on the requirements first. So for the recommended, these guys ask an AMD Ryzen 5 from the first generation, the 1500X, 16 gigs of RAM, and the GTX 960 or an AMD RX 590. So I think we can say that we are pretty much at the recommended level regarding RAM and graphics card, and we are actually having a better CPU. Although the recommended settings, well, they are what they are. And what I got on median settings was an average of 45 frames per second with a 1% low of 30. The low settings I got an average of 60 with a 1% low of 36. And the high settings I got an average of 38 frames per second with a 1% low of 22, having massive drops below 30 frames per second. But like I was telling to you, this game it is highly variable. For example, if I go to my country, which is Portugal, where most of the cities, even the capital, it isn't really as detailed as I was expecting, to be honest. Since there wasn't too much detail into it, the game it is actually very lightweight, and at medium settings you can expect the same performance that you are seeing in here in France, which is around between 50 to 60 frames per second, in some occasions even 45 frames per second. Although if I go to Los Angeles or New York, since all buildings are just really well drawn and there are tons of houses, tons of grass and foliage going on, well, in that regard the performance is actually very different. I can expect something about 30 to 40 frames per second, sometimes even 50 depending what I'm looking for. But what really stands out a lot, it's the immediate raise in memory consumption. For example, in here in France, you can see that my VRAM it is around 3 gigabytes and my RAM it is about 9 gigabytes of RAM usage. But for example, in Los Angeles, my VRAM gets entirely full to 4 gigabytes of VRAM, and my RAM also nearly gets full at around 30 to 14 gigs of RAM. There was even a time at high settings that I saw the game using those 16 gigs of RAM that I did add. So yes, probably this game really requires a ton of RAM, possibly a graphics card with 6 or 8 gigabytes of VRAM it is recommended, like a GTX 1660 with 8 gigabytes or 6, I don't know which packs they are actually retailed or being sold. But what I'm trying to say is that probably the 1650 Super and the lack of having more than 4 gigabytes of VRAM might get a little bit in the way in these higher and more dense cities. So if you have, for example, an AMD RX 580, I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming that probably you have less stuttering in Los Angeles and less RAM consumption than I have, because look at this, all the memory are just fully stressed out in here and you can see tons of stuttering going on. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. Also, the game, it is only using DirectX 11. I was really expecting this game to use DirectX 12, so I'm actually surprised by that. I'm not really sure if they are going to patch the game with DirectX 12 implementation, but I really hope so that it helps to reduce the RAM usage, probably, I don't know, and a little bit of CPU, because even the CPU gets really attacked in here. My CPU usage, it is about between 50% to 70 or even 80% of my AMD Ryzen 5 3600X. So what I have to say is that Flight Simulator 2020, it is really a demanding game, but in other hands, this game, it is also very beautiful, very well created, and that's something that it really deserves it. Alright, so where can you get this game? You can get this game from Steam for an insane price of $69.99. This is pretty much a typical high price of a console game, a AAA title. But if you go to Microsoft Store, I think the price it is actually the same on Microsoft Store. I'm not really sure, I need to confirm it. But I'm playing this through Xbox Game Pass, where you just need to pay €4 a month. You just need to subscribe the months that you want, so you don't need to stay for a full year or for 2 months or free. You can subscribe today for €4, alright, and enjoy the game for a full month with no issues whatsoever, and you can unsubscribe and never subscribe again if you want for the next month, for example. Also, you get access to many other games like Forza Horizon, Gears of War. Alright, you also get access to a ton of other third-party games. So I think it is a huge deal if you want to try Microsoft Flight Simulator before buying it, or if you just want to try it for 1 week or something, just to have a little bit more fun and having a little bit of curiosity how your house looks in this game. I think it is entirely worth it just to subscribe for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass. Alright, so I think that's all that I want to talk about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I will go to Los Angeles and then go to Hollywood Sign, and that's about it. Alright, so again, thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.